farther than that. The next thing is going to be the spring seat. Now that's not where they're going to be at ride height anyway. Those are actually going to be too low. So now's a good time to lubricate those threads with some anti-seize. This is a really important part because if you don't lubricate these threads, it can cause galling on this aluminum shock body, and that'll void your warranty on your shock, and that'll be bad because you won't be able to adjust your ride height. Another thing is we're using a nickel-based anti-seize here and not a copper-based. That way it blends in with the shock body and it looks a lot nicer than the copper would. We're also going to put anti-seize on this thrust washer here. Now we could just use the thrust washer and then put the spring on top of it. We're actually going to be using a thrust bearing as well. So the thrust washer goes on first, then the thrust bearing. Then we'll anti-seize this other thrust washer, and it goes on as well. And that's where your spring sits.
The shock gets its upper mount bushing, and after we slide on the spring, the assembly slips into the stock location and gets attached to the frame with the bushing and nut. The lower mount on the coilover gets attached using this adapter bracket. It bolts to the lower shock mount and gets dropped into the pocket on the lower control arm. 4 bolts attach the adapter bracket to the A-arm and get cinched down.
Like we said earlier, these ultimate ball joints from QA1, they are adjustable for the preload, and they come pretty loose, so we need to get some preload adjusted in here. Comes with all the tools you need to do it, and the first tool is a spanner wrench here. We're just going to loosen this lock nut first. It also comes with the hex key here, and we're going to insert it open end down. That's what's actually going to make the adjustment for the pre-tension. We can usually just tighten it enough by hand to get the pre-tension we need. If you have a race car or something like that, you may want to put a little more pre-tension on that. Then we just hold the hex key and tighten that lock nut.
The next piece to our puzzle that needs to be installed onto our new chassis is the spindles. Now our plan was to reuse the old ones, but after inspecting them, we got a little bit of an issue. Now if you look here on the top, you can kind of see where the bearing was, but the problem is whenever you spin it over, you can see that the spindle is blued. And what's happened here is that bearing got loose and it spun on this stub. And if you try to reuse this